The area known as North Wash in Utah is absolutely legendary for canyoneering. There is something here for almost any skill level, and it doesn't hurt that the scenery is beautiful as well. The first big group canyon that we hit on our last trip to North Wash was Hogwarts Canyon. This is a fun and short canyon with a very cool surprise that you'll see in just a little bit. The approach to the canyon starts at a spot known as the Hog Springs Rest Area. Shortly after crossing the bridge from the parking lot, you're going to take a small trail that heads off to the right. Enjoy the flat section while you can, because you're about to start a climb that will be gaining around 520 feet at right around half a mile. This is the hard part about canyoneering. In order to go down the rappels, you're going to have to climb up at some point. Some canyons will have you climbing up before, some of them are after, and sometimes even both ways. I personally prefer to get the climb out of the way ahead of time, that way I can just enjoy the canyon and not have that climb out in the back of my mind. The climb up to Hogwarts seems to get a little bit steeper and more technical as you get closer to the top. There are some currents marking the trail along the way, but just know as long as you hug the left side of the canyon, you should be going the right direction. I'm not gonna lie, this approach is a beast. But our group ended up toughing it out and pushing on because we knew that once we were over the top, it was all fun from here on out. As we climbed up to what I thought was the top, we realized that it was just one more flat section that gave us just enough time to catch our breaths before making the final push to the top. Luckily for us, even though the last part is a little bit on the steep side, it is not that challenging. One thing that we did have in our favor is that we started at right around 10 in the morning and the canyon walls were providing shade because this was a pretty warm day. On was the smart one in the group because he thought I had enough to bring an umbrella for when we popped up onto the ridge line. Once you reach the top of the climb, be sure to take a quick second to take a look around because you have really nice 360-degree views from this point. Almost immediately after reaching the top, you're going to be diving back down into the next canyon over. This is where the 4 rappels of Hogwarts Canyon are located. The down climbing here is not too tricky, but a little bit of assistance could be useful for shorter canyoneers or people who don't feel like jumping down off of the ledges. There are also some really nice scenic viewpoints for people who like to stop and take pictures like we do along the way down. You are going to be dropping down quite a ways before you find yourself at the top of Rappel 1, but that's okay because after that climb up, this was quite a welcome break. But finally, after a nice little stroll, we found ourselves at Rappel 1. This is probably one of the most straightforward rappels in this canyon. It's right around 40 feet, and it's so simple that On was actually able to keep his shade umbrella while he went down it. If this is your first canyon of the day, like it was for us, this is a great rappel to warm up on. One by one, our group made their way down. Danny was the only member of our group that had been here before, and he was excited to show us Rappel 2. And he had a good reason to be excited, because Rappel 2 actually drops you down underneath an arch. This rappel is just a tiny bit more technical than the first one, but it's nothing too challenging, and it comes in at right around 60 feet. Locations like these are what have made V and I fall in love with canyoneering. I don't think that there's any other way to access this spot. Even if you can hike to the top of this arch, there's no way to get to the bottom without rappelling, and I think looking up at this arch is its most spectacular view. This one definitely goes down in the books as one of the most scenic rappels that we've done so far. From Rappel 2, it is a short walk over to a pothole that you're going to have to make your way through. We ended up running a hand line down to help some of the shorter canyoneers get down, while some of the taller and more experienced canyoneers decided to stem across the top. If you're attempting this canyon during the rainy months, I heard that you can encounter water here. After climbing out of the pothole, you're going to drop into a very narrow slot. You're going to have to remove your backpack at this point because it is going to be a very tight squeeze. The canyon was so tight, in fact, that at one point I was not even able to turn my head. If you have claustrophobia, it can be a little bit intense for you. But luckily, this section is quite short and you should be out in no time. The canyon eventually opens up to the beautiful view of Rappel 3. This canyon is pretty short and you should be getting your first views of the highway at this point. This rappel increases in both height and difficulty. It measures a little bit over 70 feet and has 2 overhanging sections. I think that the biggest challenge that some of our group face is that we got spun around on the free hanging section and we weren't at a good angle to touch down on the ledge. Other than that, this one is pretty simple and fun. As the second half of our group made their way down, the first half pressed on ahead to set up Rappel 4. We were trying to save time because we were planning on doing another canyon called Mary Piglet, which is almost across the street. Stay tuned for that because that video will be coming soon. From Rappel 3, it is another fairly short walk over to Rappel 4. We love action-packed canyons where the rappels are super close together, and this definitely fits that bill. You can see the last member of our group on Rappel 3 right here. If you have run Hogwarts Canyon in the past, please note that the anchor location of Rappel 4 may have changed. We heard that at one point the anchor was located up on this hillside, but now it is down in this shallow pothole. The temperatures were climbing rapidly, and we definitely appreciated a little bit of shade before heading back out into the sunlight. Rappel 4 is the highest and most technical rappel in Hogwarts Canyon. It measures just under 90 feet and is almost completely free hanging. I'm not sure if that's a large bush or a tree at the bottom, but whatever it is, you don't want to end up in it because it is very pokey. The start of this rappel is kind of awkward because it dives into the free hang almost immediately. But after that, it should be pretty much smooth sailing as long as you don't get stuck in the plant at the bottom. Overall, I give this canyon very high marks. It was really fun and quite short. It took us right around 3 hours to finish it, and we had 9 people in our group. I'm sure that smaller groups could be done way faster than that. But one good thing about the way that this canyon is set up is that it is an extremely short hike back to the road once you're finished. If you have 2 cars in your group, leaving one at the exit point will save you a walk all the way back to the trailhead. And now for the quick disclaimer, canyoneering can be dangerous. If you would like to try it for yourself, be sure to take a lesson or at least go with someone who is highly experienced. If you enjoy our adventures, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified when we make new videos. Check us out on Instagram at @thatadventurelife_official, and for all the information about this canyon as well as other awesome adventures, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.